that was childish, that was idiotic, all those type of words I regret doing that, and I apologize to him for doing that.
Kevin Durant has publicly apologized after a burner account connected to him was exposed, revealing sharp and critical comments about teammates such as Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and even former Golden State Warriors stars. What began as what seemed like a private venting session quickly spilled into the locker room, raising one big question. What happened behind the scenes that led to the apology? Let's break it down. For much of his career, Durant's image has felt divided. On the court, he was almost unstoppable, a near 7-footer with a guard's agility, a release point no defender could reach, and a scoring ability that made him one of the most dangerous offensive players in basketball. Coaches called him unguardable. Teammates labeled him a generational talent. Analysts frequently ranked him among the greatest scorers the game has ever seen. Off the court, however, the narrative was more complex. Durant never fit the mold of the flashy, media-polished superstar. He wasn't constantly smiling for cameras or delivering perfectly crafted sound bites. Instead, he came across as reserved and thoughtful, and, in the eyes of some fans and commentators, overly sensitive to criticism. And the criticism was relentless. Every major decision he made sparked debate. Every playoff exit was scrutinized. Every comment he gave was dissected. As social media exploded, that scrutiny multiplied. It wasn't just coming from TV analysts or newspaper columns anymore. It was everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, comment sections. Constant and unavoidable. Unlike many stars who tune it out, Durant paid attention. He read what people said. He followed the arguments. Sometimes he even jumped into them. That tendency eventually led to one of the strangest controversies of his career, and it had nothing to do with a missed shot or a playoff collapse. It centered on Twitter. More specifically, on accounts that weren't publicly known to be his. At some point, the internet uncovered something surprising. Durant wasn't just observing the criticism surrounding his career, he was responding to it. Secretly. Using burner accounts to defend himself and debate fans. And when he was confronted about it later, he didn't deny the reasoning behind why he did it.
I wanted to be stealth. I didn't want nobody to know that was me.
I wanted to be stealth. I didn't want anybody to know it was me. That admission would go on to shape one of the most defining chapters of Kevin Durant's public image. But the controversy didn't begin with that confession. It began with a decision that had already placed him under a microscope. In 2016, Durant made one of the most debated moves in modern basketball history. After falling to the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, he chose to join them the very next season. At the time, the Warriors were coming off a record-setting 73-win campaign and were already considered one of the most dominant teams ever assembled. By signing with them, Durant helped form what many viewed as an unbeatable super team. To some, it was a calculated and intelligent move, a superstar putting himself in the best possible position to win championships. To others, it felt like a competitive shortcut. Instead of trying to defeat the Warriors, he had aligned with them. From that point on, the narrative around him changed. No matter how well he played, the decision followed him. The criticism was constant. Every social media post triggered the same responses. He couldn't win on his own, he needed stacked rosters, his championships didn't carry the same weight. While many superstars might have tuned it out, Durant didn't. He engaged. Initially, he replied from his main account. But over time, he began using anonymous profiles, burner accounts that allowed him to defend himself without the spotlight that came with being Kevin Durant, the global icon. Behind those accounts, he could argue freely, blending into the crowd. For a while, no one knew. Then came the mistake. One day, Durant responded to a critic, but he did it from his verified account instead of the burner. In that instant, everything unraveled. Fans quickly connected the dots, noticing similarities in tone and phrasing between his public reply and a previously anonymous account that had been defending him while criticizing his former team. Within hours, the story exploded. Sports networks dissected it. Debate shows turned it into headline segments. Social media flooded with memes. This wasn't just a superstar clapping back at critics, it was a superstar secretly arguing online while pretending to be someone else. The content of the tweets only intensified the backlash. They included pointed remarks about former teammates and the organization he had just left. It didn't come across as measured or strategic. It felt emotional, personal, and to many observers, awkward. Durant had long been viewed as reserved and introspective. Now, the public saw a different side. Someone deeply aware of every comment, someone who cared intensely about how he was perceived. Eventually, the noise died down. But years later, just as the controversy seemed like a distant memory, another alleged burner situation surfaced. This time it felt even more uncomfortable. Screenshots circulated online of an account reportedly linked to Durant, and according to those reports, it wasn't merely defending him anymore. It was openly criticizing teammates, coaches, and entire team dynamics. And once again, the conversation around him shifted.
Earlier today, Kevin Durant's alleged burner account on Twitter was exposed, where he was trash-talking former and current teammate.
That alone was enough to ignite controversy. I didn't want anybody to know it was even more uneasy was that admission would go on to shape one of the most defining chapters in Kevin Durant's or heated back and forth. But the controversy didn't begin with that confession. They weren't happening under viral posts. It began with a decision that had already placed him under a microscope. Instead, in 2016, happening Durant made one of the most debated direct messages with random Twitter users. After falling to the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, he chose to join them the very next season. At the time, the Warriors were coming off a record-setting 73-win campaign and were already considered one of the most dominant teams ever assembled. By signing with them, Durant helped form what many viewed as an unbeatable super team. To some, it was a calculated and intelligent move, a superstar putting himself in the best possible position to win championships. To others, it felt like a competitive shortcut. Instead of trying to defeat the Warriors, he had aligned with them. From that point on, the narrative around him changed. No matter how well he played, the decision followed him. The criticism was constant. Every social media post triggered the same responses. He couldn't win on his own, he needed stacked rosters, his championships didn't carry the same weight. While many superstars might have tuned it out, Durant didn't. He engaged. Initially, he replied from his main account. But over time, he began using anonymous profiles, burner accounts that allowed him to defend himself without the spotlight that came with being Kevin Durant, the global icon. Behind those accounts, he could argue freely, blending into the crowd. For a while, no one knew. Then came the mistake. One day, Durant responded to a critic, but he did it from his verified account instead of the burner. In that instant, everything unraveled. Fans quickly connected the dots, noticing similarities in tone and phrasing between his public reply and a previously anonymous account that had been defending him while criticizing his former team. Within hours, the story exploded. Sports networks dissected it. Debate shows turned it into headline segments. Social media flooded with memes. This wasn't just a superstar clapping back at critics, it was a superstar secretly arguing online while pretending to be someone else. The content of the tweets only intensified the backlash. They included pointed remarks about former teammates and the organization he had just left. It didn't come across as measured or strategic. It felt emotional, personal, and to many observers, awkward. Durant had long been viewed as reserved and introspective. Now, the public saw a different side, someone deeply aware of every comment, someone who cared intensely about how he was perceived. Eventually, the noise died down. But years later, just as the controversy seemed like a distant memory, another alleged burner situation surfaced. This time, it felt even more uncomfortable. Screenshots circulated online of an account reportedly linked to Durant, and according to those reports, it wasn't merely defending him anymore. It was openly criticizing teammates, coaches, and entire team dynamics. And once again, the conversation around him shifted.
Wasn't even with like friends or other teammates or anything. It was just random Twitter accounts that he was in a group chat.
That detail completely shifted the tone of the story. It was no longer just Durant firing back at internet trolls. It was Durant, behind a digital disguise, venting about people he shared a locker room with, confiding in strangers online about colleagues he worked alongside every day. For fans, that crossed a different line. It felt more personal, more uncomfortable. The issue wasn't simply about social media debates anymore. It was about trust inside the locker room, about whether teammates could feel secure knowing private frustrations weren't being aired anonymously behind the scenes. As the screenshots spread rapidly across social media, the controversy took on a life of its own. And during the All-Star festivities, cameras captured Durant sitting courtside, repeatedly checking his phone while the story was blowing up online. The timing only amplified the drama. While the basketball world gathered to celebrate the game, the conversation had shifted once again, away from highlights and onto headlines.
Him at All-Star game today.
That image quickly became symbolic of the entire saga. One of the best players on the planet was sitting at the All-Star game, staring at his phone while the internet argued over whether he had been secretly criticizing teammates through a burner account. By then, the narrative had already taken shape. Fans weren't just focused on the tweets anymore. They were debating what the situation revealed about Kevin Durant as a person. Some found it embarrassing. Others saw it as oddly relatable. A few even respected the raw honesty behind it. But nearly everyone agreed on one thing: it was unusual. Superstars aren't supposed to argue with random fans. They aren't supposed to hide behind anonymous profiles. And they definitely aren't supposed to get caught now Durant had been. The story was no longer just about social media posts. It was about perception, about reputation, about how one of the most gifted players in basketball was viewed when he stepped off the court. If he was willing to say those things anonymously online, what did that mean for the people around him in real life? That question fueled the backlash that followed once the burner account story became public. It didn't fade after a few hours. It spread rapidly across the sports world the way only modern scandals can. What began as a curious discovery by fans quickly evolved into a full-scale media event. Within a single news cycle, it had jumped from Twitter threads to national coverage. Television analysts dissected it during halftime shows. Radio hosts joked about it on morning programs. Podcasts built entire episodes around it. On social media, it took on a life of its own. Major sports pages weighed in. Fan accounts flooded timelines with reactions. Soon, Kevin Durant burner account was one of the most searched phrases in basketball. The reason it exploded was simple. The story had everything: a global superstar, secret profiles, leaked screenshots, and the uncomfortable realization that one of the league's biggest names had been debating anonymous users online. But what truly escalated the situation wasn't just the existence of a burner account. It was what was allegedly said through it. According to circulating screenshots and reports, the account wasn't merely defending Durant from criticism. It was criticizing teammates, questioning team situations, and comparing franchises in ways that sounded personal. Some of the alleged comments appeared to target players he had shared the court with. Others hinted at frustration with team direction and leadership. Suddenly, what could have been brushed off as an odd social media habit began to look like something deeper. It felt less like an online mistake and more like a potential locker room issue. In professional sports, especially at the highest level, locker room chemistry is everything. Trust is the foundation. Teammates have to believe in one another. Coaches rely on unity. Fans expect their stars to represent the organization with professionalism. Now that trust seemed fragile, fans began asking difficult questions. Who were the comments about? Did teammates know? How would they react if they saw the screenshots? Were these just online frustrations or signs of something simmering behind the scenes? The discussion quickly moved beyond social media behavior. It became about leadership, character, and Durant's role inside a team environment. Was he unhappy? Was he frustrated? Was he the type of leader a championship roster needed? Meanwhile, the internet did what it always does. It amplified everything. Memes appeared almost instantly. Jokes circulated about Durant arguing with himself online. Some fans claimed that any anonymous account defending him must secretly be his. Others joked that criticizing him meant you might unknowingly end up debating him directly. Even harmless posts became suspect. If Durant tweeted, people questioned whether it was really him or a burner. If he glanced at his phone during a game, jokes resurfaced about him arguing in real time. The story had turned into a running punchline. And once a label like that sticks, it's hard to remove. Durant was no longer discussed solely as the unstoppable scorer, the finals MVP, or the generational talent. He was also the superstar with burner accounts. The narrative followed him everywhere, into interviews, onto talk shows, and into comment sections. Even when the topic was strictly basketball, the burners inevitably resurfaced. It became part of his public identity. Then Durant did something that caught many people off guard. Instead of denying it all or dismissing the reports as fake, he admitted that he had used burner accounts.
You have burner accounts.
Yeah.
That brief, uncomplicated admission completely shifted the conversation. Any lingering uncertainty disappeared. It was no longer gossip or online speculation. Durant had openly acknowledged that he used burner accounts. With that confirmation, the mystery was gone. However, his explanation didn't align with how many people had interpreted the situation. While critics framed the burners as deceptive or insecure, Durant described them in a much different light. From his point of view, it wasn't about hiding to attack others. It was about having the freedom to speak without every comment being magnified because of who he is. He explained that using alternate accounts allowed him to participate in conversations more casually, without the pressure that comes with being Kevin Durant, one of the most recognizable athletes in the world. In his eyes, it wasn't some calculated scheme. It was simply a way to engage online without the constant spotlight. That contrast between public perception and his personal reasoning became the heart of the debate. To many, it still looked like secrecy. To him, it felt like normal interaction in a world where every word he says is scrutinized.
If you're questioning what I'm doing, then shit, why not get it from the source?
From Durant's point of view, he wasn't trolling anyone. He wasn't hiding out of insecurity. In his eyes, he was simply talking basketball and engaging with fans on his own terms that he viewed those interactions as a natural part of the modern sports landscape, an era where social media has erased much of the distance between athletes and the public. Platforms like Twitter made it possible for stars to respond instantly, debate narratives, and participate in conversations that used to happen without them. To Durant, it wasn't some elaborate scandal. It was communication. It was dialogue in a digital age where fans feel closer than ever to the players they watch. While the outside world framed it as secrecy, he saw it as participation, just without the constant spotlight attached to his name.
These people that I might be shitting on sometimes, they enjoy these interactions.
To Durant, those conversations weren't shameful or embarrassing. They were simply part of the experience. Fans constantly debate players, and he saw nothing wrong with responding directly. In fact, he believed engaging this way helped grow the game, creating more genuine interactions between players and fans. The public, however, didn't see it that way. For most, it didn't read as authenticity, it looked like insecurity. It looked as though one of the greatest players in the world couldn't handle criticism without hiding behind an anonymous account. And once that narrative took hold, it spread quickly. Sports media began focusing more on Durant's personality than his performance. Words like sensitive, thin-skinned, and too online became part of the conversation. The burner account saga had become a permanent part of his public image. In professional sports, perception can be almost as important as performance. Even if teammates never confronted him directly, the idea that a superstar might criticize them anonymously created an awkward undercurrent. Rumors like that linger, creating doubt, tension, and questions behind the scenes. For Durant, already criticized for joining a super team, the controversy added another layer to his public narrative. He wasn't just the player who left Oklahoma City. He wasn't just the one who joined the Warriors. Now he was also the player who argued with fans from secret accounts. That combination reshaped how people talked about him. Even when he excelled on the court, conversations often drifted back to the same topic. The memes didn't stop. The jokes didn't fade. The story followed him from team to team, season to season, interview to interview. Every time he posted on social media, fans questioned whether it was really him. Every time he replied to criticism, the burners were mentioned. Any rumor, no matter how minor, invited jokes that he was behind it. At some point, the only way to move forward was to confront the controversy openly, without social media filters, without secret accounts, just Durant speaking for himself. And when that moment finally arrived, his response would determine how the story was remembered. By the time he publicly addressed the burner account saga, it had already taken on a life of its own. Screenshots had spread across the internet. Talk shows had dissected the story. Memes had gone viral. Kevin Durant burner account had entered everyday basketball conversation. At that stage, the damage wasn't just about the tweets themselves, it was about the perception that had formed around him. For much of his career, Durant's identity had been straightforward. Scorer, silent assassin, the player whose game spoke louder than his words. Even controversial choices like joining the Warriors were discussed in terms of basketball. Points, rings, efficiency, and legacy. But the burner account saga changed that. The public narrative shifted from performance to personality. He wasn't just Kevin Durant, unstoppable scorer. He was Kevin Durant, the superstar who secretly argued with fans online. A label that stuck. It followed him everywhere. Interviews, comment sections, social media, even the court. Every post was scrutinized. Every reply to criticism sparked jokes about burners. Every trending topic involving his name invited speculation about hidden accounts. The story had grown larger than the initial incident. Eventually, Durant had no choice but to confront it directly. Not with an anonymous account, not with a cryptic tweet, but face-to-face on camera, without a digital mask or hidden identity. And when he finally spoke, the tone was markedly different from the defensive, sarcastic, or dismissive replies fans had come to expect online. This time, Durant didn't argue. He didn't spin the story. He didn't claim misunderstanding. Instead, he admitted he had gone too far.
I happened to take it a little too far, and that's what happens sometimes when I get into these basketball debates.
That admission alone was striking. For years, Durant had built a reputation for responding to criticism, pushing back against media narratives, debating fans, and defending his decisions. But this time, it wasn't about defending himself. It was about owning his mistakes. He acknowledged that his behavior had crossed a line. While he genuinely enjoyed engaging with fans and discussing basketball online, the situation had escalated beyond what he intended. What had started as casual debates had morphed into comments about people he actually worked with, and he admitted that was where he had gone wrong.
That was childish, that was idiotic, all those type of words out of print doing that, and I apologize to him for doing that. But
those words carried real weight because they came directly from Durant himself. This wasn't a league-mandated apology. It wasn't a statement read from a polished PR script. He spoke plainly, leaving little room for misinterpretation, calling his behavior childish and idiotic, and apologizing to the people involved. It was a rare moment of vulnerability from a player who had spent years defending himself against public scrutiny. He didn't blame the media. He didn't blame the fans. He didn't claim his words were taken out of context. He simply owned it, and in doing so he changed the tone of the entire conversation. Up until that moment, the burner account saga had felt like a spectacle. Easy to mock, easy to meme, and easy to frame as a superstar acting immaturely online. But Durant's admission made it human. He wasn't just a superstar caught in an online controversy. He was a person who had reacted emotionally, made a mistake, and genuinely regretted it. He even shared that the previous day had been difficult for him, revealing he was frustrated with himself over how things had unfolded. That detail highlighted something crucial. The controversy wasn't just happening around him, it was affecting him personally. Then he turned to the future, explaining what he intended to do moving forward.
I'll scale back a little bit right now, just focus on playing basketball.
That statement marked a turning point. Instead of continuing to debate online, defending himself through tweets or anonymous accounts, Durant chose to step back and let his game speak for itself again. For many fans, that was exactly what they wanted to hear. Despite all the controversy, Durant's talent had never been in question. He remained one of the league's most dominant scorers, capable of taking over games in ways very few could, and he continued to be a central figure in the NBA. But the burner account saga had changed how people perceived him. It revealed a side fans weren't used to seeing, a side that read every comment, cared deeply about public perception, and sometimes responded emotionally rather than strategically. In that sense, the controversy humanized him. Some saw it as embarrassing, a superstar unable to handle criticism. Others saw it differently, as proof that even elite athletes experience the same emotions and frustrations as everyone else. In a strange way, it made Durant more relatable. Behind the championships, scoring titles, and highlight reels was a player who felt pressure, frustration, and the urge to respond. Yet the internet narrative stuck. Years later, jokes about the burner still resurface. Anytime he responds to criticism, fans reference them. Any rumor prompts speculation about secret accounts. It became a permanent talking point, part of his public persona. Still, it never defined his performance. Durant continued to dominate on the court, scoring, making all-star teams, and reminding everyone why he is considered one of the greatest of his generation. The controversy didn't diminish his talent, erase his championships, or make him any less unguardable. If anything, it added another layer to his story. The saga revealed that behind the trophies and accolades was a player who cared about how he was perceived, sometimes acted on that impulse, and occasionally regretted it. But in the end, he owned it, calling his actions childish, apologizing, and moving forward. In the NBA, controversies fade, narratives shift, and headlines change. But the game keeps going. Seasons roll on, new stories emerge, and players must continue performing. Kevin Durant did exactly that. He kept playing. He kept scoring. And regardless of burner accounts, internet debates, or media narratives, he remained one of the most unstoppable players the sport has ever seen. If you enjoyed this story, click on any of the cards on your screen to watch more.